Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Sodanandana Mridana Ranjana Yasodanandana Mridana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Sodanandana Vardhana Ranjana Yasodanandana Vardhana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jama Vishnupad Purnamahangsa Prabhujakacharya Asatura Sada Shishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Dhanati Kota Vaishnavanda Ki Jaya, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jaya, ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya, Prem Sikho Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jaya, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Samakun, Radhakun, Giri Govardhan Ki Jaya, Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai, Shri Mayapurvam Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Junamai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Somamveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai, Gau Premanandi, all glorious some devotees, all glorious some devotees, all glorious some devotees, all glorious to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we'll read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14, text number 15. Javita, would you like to chant that? Yep. Yeah. We're patient.
Kvatadasadya graham davavat priyata vidudam asukho darkam shokagnina daihimano brisham nirvedam upagachati.
Please repeat. Kvachit. Sometimes. Asadya. Experiencing. Griham. The home life. Dhavavat. Exactly like a blazing fire in the forest. Priya artha vidharam. Without any beneficial object. Asukha udharkam. Resulting only in more and more unhappiness. Sukha agnina. By the fire of lamentation. Doyamanaha. Being burned. Brisam. Very great. Nirvedam. Disappointment. Upagachati. He obtains. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki. In this world, family life is exactly like a blazing fire in the forest. There is not the least happiness, and gradually one becomes more and more implicated in unhappiness. In household life, there is nothing favorable for perpetual happiness. Being implicated in home life, the conditioned soul is burned by the fire of lamentation. Sometimes he condemns himself as being very unfortunate, and sometimes he claims that he suffers because he performed no pious activities in his previous life. Purport. In the Guru Vashtaka, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur has sung, Samsara davan nalalid haloka Tranaya karunya gana ganadvam. A life in this material world is exactly like a blazing forest fire. No one goes to set fire to the forest. I guess Prabhupada they didn't have arson back then in India. Here we have. Yet the fire takes place. Similarly, everyone wants to be happy in the material world, but the miserable conditions of material life simply increase. Sometimes a person caught in the blazing fire of material existence condemns himself, but due to his bodily conception, he cannot get out of the entanglement, and thus he suffers more and more. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Malitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukham Kotavatalang Pangam Lang Hayate Grim Yat Kripatadaham Bande Shigurum Dinataranam Vanchakalpatubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The name of this chapter is The Great Forest of Material Enjoyment. So we also have a forest fire of false ego burning within, causing so much suffering. False ego, material attachments, material desires. The other night, myself and Ramapati were trying to sleep, And it was a Saturday night, Saturday nights were a little wild. This guy was shouting and groaning and crying, and remember that? For a half hour. We couldn't believe it. The guy was suffering so much. Yeah, just outside our window, in the front of the building there, just on the sidewalk or something. He's probably just laying down there, just suffering, something horrible happened. He was just like, I was feeling sorry for the guy. It's just, people are suffering like anything. Just the material world, dukkhalayam asasatam. It's a place of suffering, and it's due to so much material attachment. So much attachment to material sense gratification, and then when there's no satisfaction of the material senses, lamentation. So much lamentation. There's hankering and lamenting. This is the nature of this world. So this is in the material world, or in this world now, the cause of most deaths is heart disease, right? Heart disease. But in this world, we also have this dirty heart disease. People have dirty hearts. This is a major problem in the material world. Dirty hearts, heart disease. It's an epidemic. Dirty hearts. And to cleanse the dirty heart is very difficult. Prabhupada said that lust is like dense darkness, and love for Krishna is like the bright sun. Lust is like dark, dense, just darkness, lust. But people think that by satisfying their lust, they'll be happy. Practically everybody. But they're all disappointed, practically without exception. Disappointment. Krishna Surya Sama Moya Hoya Andakara Yahan Krishna Tahanai Mayara Adhikara. Now Krishna, he is compared to the sun, and Maya is compared to the darkness. Wherever there is the sun of Krishna consciousness, there's no darkness of ignorance. So sometimes people ask, "Have you been vaccinated?" Yeah, we've been vaccinated. Our vaccination is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. This is our vaccination. This protects us from Maya. Just like we heard this morning, that nice story of Vasudev Dutt. Yeah. He was a leper. I mean, he was just an inconceivable personality. It said that he had worms throughout his body, and if one would fall down, he would pick it up and put it back on the sore, because he didn't want to see the worm suffering. He's having his meal, and somehow he fell down, interrupted his meal, so he put it back on. Inconceivable. And when he heard that Lord Chaitanya was visiting the Kurma Brahmana and had left, he was so distraught, he fainted. Imagine the love. He just, my Lord. And he had never seen Lord Chaitanya, from what I understand. He had just heard about Lord Chaitanya and that he was there. And he fainted. And Lord Chaitanya, he's in the heart of everyone. So he knew, my devotee. He's lamenting that he didn't get my darshan, so he went back. And Lord Chaitanya embraces him with all those worms and blood and pus, and just can't imagine. And of course he's like, no, don't touch me, Lord Chaitanya, I'm so muchi. He embraced him, and he became beautiful. He became beautiful. But then he thought, well, now I'm going to get proud. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, we have a vaccine. Just chant Hare Krishna, and you won't become proud. This is the cure-all for all heart disease, or at least subtle heart disease, not material heart disease. But there's many subtle heart diseases. Maya's ministers, right? Lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion. So all these subtle diseases can be washed away, can be cleansed, just by chanting this Hare Krishna mantra. Of course, here also reading Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavad Gita, this solidifies our understanding of the potency of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So all this is so important, this hearing and chanting. So yeah, this bodily conception of life is one of the main diseases. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, "The flesh is not my own, alas, the mortal frame a chain. The soul confined for former wrongs should try to rise again. Why then this childish play in that which is not my own, which falls within 100 years, as if a rose are blown?" So we're attached to this body, which is going to be finished in a short time. We're so attached to it, so attached to trying to satisfy these senses. So this is the main disease of the heart, is this false ego, false understanding of who we are, thinking that we're this body. And therefore we try to satisfy this lust. Prabhupada was speaking one time in Los Angeles, giving class, and he heard some music from outside. And Prabhupada stopped and, "What is that?" "Well, Prabhupada, it's an ice cream truck." "Oh, you're eating ice cream?" No, Prabhupada, they go down the streets, up and down the streets. The children, they come and they get ice cream. "Oh, he's canvassing." And then Prabhupada stopped and he's listening more. And then he said, "You see, this is Maya, enticing. Come. Huh? Come on, enjoy me. Come on. And all the devotees are laughing. And then they gave example, just like the fish. He's in the river there, and he's swimming around. He sees a worm. Oh, breakfast. So he sees the worm. He gets the worm, and then poof, gets pulled away. He tries to enjoy the tongue, but he's disappointed. And there's a hook in the worm, so he's finished. We try to enjoy this world, and we get disappointed. Yeah. And he went on to give the example of the elephant. Not an easy thing to catch an elephant, a big elephant. But if you have a she-elephant, then it becomes possible. So they have this she-elephant, and the male elephant's looking at that beautiful she-elephant with a curled tail, nice and big and fat. I guess it's more attractive, I guess, the more fat you are with the elephants. The fatter you are, probably more attractive. So he becomes attracted to the beautiful she-elephant, and he gets caught in the pit. Yeah. And then he went on to give the example of the deer. The hunter, he plays some music, some attractive music, flute or something, and the deer is attracted. Many deer are attracted to the flute, and then they get shot by the hunter. So the tongue, the hearing, the sight, and the smell, the bee becomes attracted to the honey and the flower. And there's some flowers, they close up, and the bee is finished, disappointed. So this is the nature of this world, that we're trying to enjoy, but we get frustrated. Now, we just gave those examples, those four. But in the human life, where all these senses are, we like to hear nice music, we like to smell nice things, like to see attractive things. So all these, in these ways, we become attracted and bound and frustrated. But if we devote ourselves to Krishna, then we won't be frustrated. We'll be completely satisfied. Not only will we not be frustrated and we'll be satisfied, but the satisfaction is ever increasing. And this is what we're all searching for. Right? Just like in the Chaitanya Leela, there's one great, great king, Rajarsi. Great king. He wanted to get the darshan of Lord Chaitanya because he had heard that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This king's name was King Prataparudra. And he had one, there was one personality there in Jagannath Puri, Sarvabhaumacharya, who was considered to be the greatest scholar of India. And he had become a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And Sarvabhaumacharya, he was like his guide, for King Prataparudra. So Sarvabhaumacharya said, this personality, Lord Chaitanya, he's the Supreme Personality of God. So he immediately accepted on authority. So he wanted to get the darshan of Lord Chaitanya. And Sarvabhaumacharya, he said to Lord Chaitanya, this king, he wants to get your darshan. And Lord Chaitanya, he just would not hear of it. He covered his ears. No, I can't even think of that. The king means so much sense gratification and women and pounds, shillings, and pence person. And he quoted a very famous verse: Niskinchinasya bhagavad bhajanon mukasya param param jigamasor bhavasagarasya sandarsanam visainan asyoltitansha ha hanta hanta vishabhaksanatopya sadhu. That for one who is desiring to give up all material desires, Niskinchinasya bhagavad bhajanon mukasya, and cross over this vast ocean of material existence, for such a person to see a materialistic person is worse than willingly drinking poison. Now look at the mentality of someone who wants to take poison. Very bad consciousness. I mean, you got to be in really bad consciousness to want to end your life. Take poison, right? Many do. Thousands. I think in America, like 30,000 a year or something. So many, and in the world, I don't know, maybe 1 million or something. A lot of people suffering, horrible consciousness to want to take their life, suffering. So, for someone to willingly want to see materialistic people, it's like that. Just like taking poison, terrible consciousness to try to see the face of a materialistic person. Actually, it's said that if we see the face of a materialistic person, we should go and we jump in the Ganges to get purified. Now, I don't know what our Sankirtan devotees are. It's a long ways to go to the Ganges. We're seeing these materialistic people's face all day long, or not all day, but many hours. So we pray to Lord Chaitanya for protection. Just by seeing the materialistic people's faces, one can become contaminated. So that was Lord Chaitanya's response. Like, no question. But King Prataparudra, he had a lot going for him. Because not only Sarvabhaumacharya, but Lord Nityananda, he was also trying to help him get the darshan of Lord Chaitanya. Now, if you got Lord Nityananda on your side, you got it. It's just a question of time before you get the mercy. because Lord Chaitanya, or Lord Nityananda, he's even more merciful than Lord Chaitanya. And then Ramananda Roy, also, he's also vying for him to get the darshan of Lord Chaitanya. So Ramananda Roy, he's one of the 3.5 most intimate devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Ramananda Roy, Swarup Damodar, Sikhi Mahiti, and what was the lady's name? Madhavi. Madhavi is the sister of Sikhi Mahiti. So Ramananda Roy, Lord Chaitanya had so much affection for Ramananda Roy, and Lord Nityananda and Sarvabhaumacharya. So it's just a question of time. He had everything going for him. But he didn't get it yet, so he was lamenting. So he had a son. So he sent his son to get the darshan of Lord Chaitanya, and this son was very, very beautiful, and he got the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. I forgot exactly how. The son of King Prataparudra, he went and he got the darshan of Lord Chaitanya, and I think he got some garland or something. He got some. Yeah, he looked like Krishna. Very beautiful.
He reminded Lord Chaitanya of Krishna,
yeah.
So he gave him all his favor, and he welcomed him in all the time,
Yeah.
And so that was one thing. And then don't forget, he got a remnant.
He got some type of remnant.
Yeah. And Prataparudra worshipped that as Lord.
Yeah. So he got mercy in that way, but he wanted more. He wanted more mercy. So then it was mentioned to him that there is a way that you can get the favor of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When they go on the Ratha-yatra, Lord Chaitanya, they were doing this every year, so he would go and he would take some rest after dancing. Lord Chaitanya, he was a big dancer. He would leap up in the sky, and Sachi would see him leap up, and she would be completely pained that he's going to hurt himself when he falls down. He would jump very high. He's God, so he can do it. He could really go high and not hurt himself. So he would get tired, and he would go in this garden. And one devotee suggested you take off all your kingly garb, and you put on the garb of a mendicant, and you go there, and you chant the Gopi Gita. Chant these prayers of the gopis, and massage Lord Chaitanya at the same time. In this way, you'll please Lord Chaitanya. So he did that. I guess he memorized the whole, just all the way through. So Lord Chaitanya was so happy. He was getting massaged, and he getting relaxed, and he was hearing this the Gopi Gita. And then when he got to this one verse, tava kathāmṛtam tapta jivanam kavirabhi iditam kāmasāpaham Shravanamangalam Srimad Bhagavatam Bhuvigunate Buri Dajana. When Lord Chaitanya heard that, he said, chant it again. Chant it again. And he was chanting it again. And Lord Chaitanya, he was so happy. He said, who are you? Who are you? He couldn't say who he is. Otherwise he'll be in trouble. He said, I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of Lord Krishna, of you. So Lord Chaitanya was just in ecstasy. He embraced him. He got not only did he get darshan, Lord Chaitanya embraced him. He was so happy. So this verse is a very wonderful verse. Tava kathāmṛtam, your glories are relished by those who are no longer interested in the false pleasures of this world. Tava kathāmṛtam, it's like nectar for those who are suffering the pangs of material existence. Tava kathāmṛtam tapta jivanam. Tapta jivanam. And great sages say that simply by chanting your glories, one becomes free of all sins. Kavirabhi kāmasāpaham. Bhuvigunate dori dhajan. And those who are chanting your glories, they are the most munificent. Those who are spreading your glories. So this is actually a Sankirtan verse. Those who are spreading the glories of Krishna, they are the most munificent. You get special mercy by going out and spreading the glories of Krishna. So this is the desire of Lord Chaitanya. This is the desire of Lord Krishna. Yes? Lord Chaitanya said to him, you are Buridharjana, you are the most munificent. Yeah? Because he's speaking the glories of Krishna. So if we could do that, if we could somehow spend some time distributing books or Harinam, preaching the message, then Lord Chaitanya is he's very pleased. And we become free of this blazing fire of material existence. Yeah. Who wants to be in a blazing fire of material existence? I mean, it'd be pretty uncomfortable. Right? It'd be pretty uncomfortable. The only ones that I know of that are saintly that actually do that are ladies. When their husband has passed away, they walk into the fire. And yes, the sati, right? Yeah, they walk right into the fire because to be separated from their husband, there's so much love, is worse than entering into fire. They can't live without their husband. Just like this Queen Kunti and Madri. Pandu had passed away, and the sons were still there, so they had to be taken care of. So Madri said to Kunti, Kunti, you're more selfless than I am, so let me walk into the fire. She was so, I mean, the mentality is just like inconceivable. You say you take care of the children, I'll go in the fire. And Kunti, she was ready to walk into the fire because she had so much love for Pandu. It was like a competition. Who should go in the fire? So she walked right into the fire. This was a common thing thousands of years ago. Then it became, because there wasn't so much love anymore in Kali Yuga, women were forced. They were forced into the fire, and they're screaming, no, I don't have that much love for him. So then actually the British outlawed it because it was just, I mean, atrocious. I mean, if they're not, into it, don't force them into it. I mean, geez. So yeah, that was unfortunate. But you could see how much love there is. Divorce is like unheard of. Just the thought would not even come to mind. So much affection. So, because Lord Chaitanya's appearance day is coming up, I thought I'd say a little bit more about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There was one great devotee. Of course, there's many great devotees of Lord Chaitanya. But there was one, Srivas Thakur, who was actually, he is in the part of the Panchatattva. And besides Dravida, who is he? Who is Srivas Thakur? Narada Muni. Great devotee. And Lord Chaitanya would go there and he would spend time, and they would have these nocturnal kirtans at his home, and they would stay up all night chanting. There's one pastime where there was one very simple brahmana, and he would only live off of milk. He would only drink milk. That was all. That was his diet, just milk. So he wanted to see the kirtan, but at that time it wasn't opened up yet. There was only special devotees, very special devotees that were in these nocturnal pastimes, the kirtan all night long. But he really wanted to experience that. So he asked Srivas Thakur, and he was a very humble, simple, nice Vaishnava. Young. Yeah, I don't know how old. 16, 15, something like that. So he got permission. So he was in the house. Somehow he got Srivas Thakur, he allowed him in the house. And they were having kirtan. And Lord Chaitanya said, something is not right. Something is not right here. What is different here? The ecstasy is not there. What is different here? So he's God. He knows something's a little fishy here. So Srivas Thakur said, well, Lord Chaitanya, there was one young devotee. He was very nice, simple, humble. He just lives off milk. He wanted to experience the kirtan. So he's here. So Lord Chaitanya said, no. Take him out. So he had to come out of his hiding. He can't. So he sent him away. He sent him away. Lord Chaitanya sent him away. But as he's going away, he's in ecstasy. Although he was kicked out, he was in ecstasy because he got to experience a little bit. He got some mercy of the nocturnal pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and Srivas Thakur, and I don't know who else, Mukunda and some other very intimate devotees were there. So he was just floating in ecstasy. As they say, cloud nine. He was just very happy. So Lord Chaitanya, super soul, although he had been kicked out, he knew Lord Chaitanya knew he was so happy because he got that. So he called him back, and he participated more. He participated more in the kirtan because of his simplicity and his purity. So Lord Chaitanya was visiting him, and Lord Chaitanya said, Srivas Thakur, you're not going out, you're not working, you're not collecting alms or anything. You have a big family. How are you maintaining? And Srivas Thakur said, I don't leave my house. Well, how are you maintaining? And he responded, clapped his hands 3 times and said, this is the secret. And Lord Chaitanya said, what does that mean? Clap your hands 3 times. He says, if after 3 days I do not have food, I'll tie my feet with a stone and drown myself in the Ganges. And Lord Chaitanya said, what? What have you said? And then he said that even if Lakshmi Devi herself becomes poverty-stricken, you will never be short of anything, any needs that you may have. He had such faith that Krishna would take care of him. And Lord Chaitanya, he quoted this verse. He said, as I have spoken in the Bhagavad Gita, Ananyas Chintayantamam Yejina Paryapaste Tesam Nityabhayuktanam Yogaksema Vahamyam. That those who worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, for them I carry what they lack, I preserve what they have. Whatever they need, it's there for them. And there's one interesting pastime with this verse. There was a devotee named Arjunacharya, and he read this verse in the Bhagavad Gita, and he said, this must be some editing mistake. Devita wasn't there, so it wasn't Devita. It's not his fault. This must be some mistake here, because Krishna's God. He doesn't carry for anybody. He doesn't serve his devotees. He's God. He doesn't carry what we lack. So he marked it off, actually. Yeah, he crossed it out. So then he told his wife that I'm going to go and bathe in the Ganges. So when he bathed in the Ganges, and while he's gone, 2 young boys come, and they're carrying some things that Arjunacharya needed. And one of them had some scratches on his face. There was a little blood there. And knocked on the door, and the lady answered the door, and And the boys said, "Well, here, these are for your husband. He needed these things." And she said, "Okay, well, thank you so much, but why? Why do you have these scratches on, these marks on your face?" "Oh, that was done by your husband to me." "My husband? My husband is a qualified Brahmana. He would never do such a thing. He's a saintly person." He said, "Oh no, it was your husband, and we have to leave because he might come back and do it again. We have to go. We have to go. Goodbye." And she was shocked. And then when he returned, she said, "You know, these boys, they brought these things that we were in need of, and one of them had these marks on his face. And he said that you had done it to him." He said, I never harmed any young boy. You know me, I would never do such a thing." "Well, what did they look like?" And she said, "Well, one was of blue complexion, the one that had the marks, and the other one was fair complexion, it was white." And then he said, "Oh my God, that was Krishna. That was Krishna. You saw Krishna. And those marks was because I marked in the Bhagavad Gita, I crossed that out. Yogakshem Vahamyaham. That was Krishna. And he does. And he brought things that we needed. He carried what we lacked." And he was in ecstasy. You know, although he had done that offense, still he was in ecstasy that Krishna had come and done that pastime. And he told his wife, "You're so fortunate. You got the darshan of Krishna and Balaram." So she became very happy. Amazing pastime, huh? So, on that, is there any question or comment on the inside here?
A little thing about that last pastime.
Yeah.
His wife was somewhat upset with him, and she was taking her dinner when he arrived, which is not done, is that the wife doesn't eat before the husband. And so I think that's why he was...
Oh no, that's another pastime.
Oh, was that the one with...
yeah, yeah, that was another pastime. But since you began it, let's finish that pastime off. You started it. There was one devotee who was writing. Jayadev Goswami, he was writing. He's a very prolific writer, as you know. We sing songs that he wrote. And so he was writing, and the thought came to mind that Radharani becomes the menial servant of Krishna. She becomes a servant of Krishna. And it just didn't, because, you know, again, Krishna's God. He doesn't know, nobody, he doesn't serve anybody. He's God. He's the Supreme Lord. So it just didn't sit right. So then he thought, well, let me meditate on this a bit. So he went to bathe in the Ganges, and then he was going to come back and take prasad. So when he came back, his wife was honoring prasadam, and they had been married for many years. And she would, you know, the etiquette always is that the husband would eat, and then the wife would honor prasadam. So he got back, and she's honoring prasadam. And he's shocked. Said, "Devi, I've never seen this before. You usually wait till I've taken prasad. I mean, I don't mind if you take prasad. It's okay, but I'm just very surprised." And she said, "No, you took prasad." "I didn't take prasad. I just got back. I just bathed. I'm hungry." She said, "No, you went and you bathed, and then you came back and you said, I'm going to do a little writing, then I'll come back and take prasad. And then you took prasad, and then you stepped out. You said you were satisfied. Nice prasadam, and now you're saying you didn't eat. I don't understand." He said, "I went in and I wrote something." So he went in and he saw it written in gold letters. Krishna becomes the humble servant of Srimati Radharani. So then that was Krishna. So then he went back to his wife and said, you know, that wasn't me that came back and went in there and wrote. That was Krishna disguised as me. So you're eating his remnants right now. Is there any left? Yeah, I got to serve him out, and she got the remnants, so she got the mercy there. Yeah, wonderful pastime. It's okay if there's no question, no comment. We'll end there. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki? Yeah.